Welcome back to another episode of Buckets with Biegel. I just want to start off by thanking anybody and everybody that watched the show last week. Thank you for the support, and we're going to come out and make more videos and go give them some likes, subscribes, and some comments. Thank you very much. But we're going to start off this episode with young teams that are going to be on the rise this next season and seasons to come, hopefully. I decided to break this down into two categories. The first one was teams that didn't make the playoffs, but that could be just due to inexperience and young players. And this will be teams that will be better than last season and on the rise. And the next other category is teams that made the playoffs or almost made the playoffs, and they are now gotten better and are there to be maybe title contenders or make deep runs into the playoffs. So let's get started. We're going to start with the young guns, and the team that I believe will make the most jump from last season from not making the playoffs will be the New Orleans Pelicans. I believe that they, with this trade of Anthony Davis and the signing of J.J. Redick and obviously the drafting of Zion Williams, I think that this team goes from not making the playoffs to snagging that eighth seed. Of course, there's always room to improve. We don't know how Zion Williams is going to be. Brandon Ingram's health is a major concern with his blood clots, even though he is projected to still play at the start of the season. So that's always a great sign for him. We got Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Josh Hart, who was also part of that trade, played a season with LeBron James. So they got some mentoring from him. Obviously, we all saw what happened with LeBron wanting to trade him, but you still can't take away the fact that they played a season with him and got to learn all the basketball knowledge that surrounds LeBron James. So then you trade these three players that have already the chemistry and the knowledge from what they've learned from LeBron, and they go out on their own team and they go ball along with getting the number one overall pick. So now they all just got to go out and just gel together and make sure the team chemistry is there. And injuries is always another key factor. But they go out and they sign J.J. Redick, him and Josh Hart will supply some good shooting on the outside, space the floor for Zion to come in, and we all see what he can do at the bucket. The next team I'm going to talk about, we're going to go to the Eastern Conference, is the Atlanta Hawks, who last season we saw wasn't really the greatest. They weren't the greatest team in the NBA, but the last half of the season, the emergence of Trae Young and him without. It's just a shame because with Luka Doncic's great, amazing rookie season that happened, he just can't. Sometimes he just got covered up a little bit by Trae Young, but we saw him drop 49 points, and it just he's just a walking bucket with his great shooting and his amazing ability to actually pass the ball. We saw him got a great amount of assists last year, so it's a great that they have their point guard of the future, already coming out and balling and just working on his development. Along with we saw the emergence of John Collins, who showed great improvement and is just going to be a great front court player with some years to come. Just need to supply him with some more big men to help teach this man this youngin some more moves, knowledge. He's already got the work ethic, it looks like. So he just needs to go out there and just keep on balling, along with signing Jabari Parker, who was the man with Greek Freak back in Milwaukee. He was a 20-point per game scorer. It was an athletic freak until he just tore his ACL, not once but twice, unfortunately. And then we saw that little stint in Chicago and the Wizards, and it just didn't work out. But now he's got a new fresh with a young team in Atlanta, and I don't know what his role is going to be on that team right now. But if he has to come off the bench, he's going to be a great scorer coming off the bench. If not, he could play the three and just help out this starting lineup. And then not just with that, they also got their draft picks in Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter, I want to say his first name is. But Cam Reddish, just even though he was on that Duke team too, we can't forget about that. Even though it was Zion Williams for most of it, um, you can't forget that he was on their team. He was that, well, I like to say Chris Bosh of the Miami. He was that third option that was there, but he's still a buck. You can't respect that. So when he put this team together, um, they're just young. They're very young, and I think they just need to sign maybe a veteran presence to to just teach these youngins the ways, if you want to say, and just keep this young core together. Make sure they stay healthy. Um, make sure that they keep together and go out and win some games, attract some all-star talent, and keep it going. Like I said, this was one of the worst teams in the NBA last year, and now they're going to be pushing for the bottom part of I think the bottom part of the East. They'll be that eighth seed, maybe be the Heat and just barely miss the playoffs. But I think they're going to be tremendously better from last season. Which honestly, any progress at this point is progress for them. No offense, but I think that's going to be a team on the low in the East, if you want to say. And the other team, the last team I'm going to talk about that's going to be on the rise further is the Chicago Bulls, which my Chicago Bulls, which their major problem last season mainly was just injury. It's hard to go out and get some wins when your starting five is not out there for most of the season. But we'll see their picks. Wendell Carter Jr. come back, a great defensive presence in the middle. We got the star emergence of Lauri Markkanen, becoming a great scorer along with Zach LaVine, and going out and drafting Cam Reddish from North Carolina. I think that was a great move. And um, going out and signing Thaddeus Young, a great 3D player, who's going to be a great coming off the bench and supplying with um, some great power to help this Bulls team out. And if they can just stay healthy and keep up the progress and the work, they're going to make the playoffs next year as a seventh seed, which is more improvement than last year. And hopefully, we all saw the talks of Kevin Durant wanted to go to a young team, which we all saw him eventually go to the Nets. But just keep that same mindset, mate. If we can just win, pull like what the Nets did, just make the playoffs and get a win with our stars that we have right now, and hopefully we can attract somebody and then take the next step into becoming contenders in the East. Which, off that note, we're going to take us to the next group of teams that I think are going to improve the most next season and improve to become hopefully title contenders. So we're going to start it off with the obvious, with the Clippers. We saw them sneak into that eighth seed last year, and then actually surprised us with getting 2 wins on this number 1 seed Warriors team, which at one point we all forget that they were the 1 seed and the 3 seed in the West for a minute there early on in the season, but then they go on and trade Tobias Harris and all that stuff. And we saw them drop. Like, it's hard when you trade your star player, your top scorer, and your offense basically. But at the same time, they go out and get those 2 wins, and that just shows some volume. And I think that was one of the reasons why Kawhi Leonard was looking at this Clippers team and eventually to sign there. He said, if you can go out and get Paul George, I will be on there. And what does Jerry West go do? He goes out and gets Paul George in a great, great move for the Clippers to become immediate contenders. And then they got Paul George, they got Kawhi Leonard. So now you got your 2 superstar players to keep up with your Los Angeles Lakers rival team in the town. So, and I just look at this roster and all I see is defense. Like I just see defense, and then you have the scoring power of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard to get you your points along with your role players for the defense. So, and all you're losing was Gallinari and Shea Alexander. Which Alexander's going to be a great point guard. Don't not get me wrong. He's going to be a good point guard with the future to come. But it's just an upgrade. That's great. And they're now title. They won't go for the 8th seed to possibly the 1st seed, 2nd seed, and title contenders. So that's my team for that's going to make the big jump next year. Um, Another team that's going to be on the rise, we're going to go back to the East Coast, is the Brooklyn Nets with the obviously sign of Kyrie Irving and the signing trade of Kevin Durant. Yes, they're losing D'Angelo Russell, a great scorer. Don't not get me wrong, but you're upgrading to Kyrie Irving, and you're not going to get Kevin Durant next year, which is a shame. So it's going to be interesting to see what Kyrie can do this year because the whole reason we all know he left the Cavaliers so he can lead his own team, but then we all saw what happened in the Celtics and just not making expectations. I want to say, but it's so hard to criticize him for that, considering the first time he was just injured in the playoffs. If he was not injured in the playoffs, he would have been LeBron James and the Cavs in that Eastern Finals and Eastern Conference Finals, and then would have moved on to the finals, but which they would have eventually lost. um, but yeah, you're not going to have Kevin Durant for that season. But the biggest part of that is that they were able to keep the pieces that got them. Like they are keeping Jared Allen, they're keeping their 6 man off the bench, Spencer Dinwiddie. They're keeping the 3-point champion Joe Harris, along with getting Prince. And if as long as when you keep these pieces, and then it's like the Clippers, you keep the pieces and then you add the superstar talent to rise your game up. So now we're going to see the Nets rise up into the rankings in the East. And then when Kevin Durant comes back, it's only going to get even better. Now we don't know how he's going to come back off this injury. Achilles are just killer for any sport, any athlete's career. But if anybody can come back from Achilles, it's Kevin Durant. I know he can. He's still going to be a bucket. He's still going to score. He's the greatest scorer in the league right now. But now you just team him up with Kyrie Irving. So that is what's going to keep them together. And yeah, and one other team I'm going to talk about on the rise, obviously, is the Los Angeles Lakers. We saw they went out, got LeBron James. We thought, yeah, and then we saw what happened last season, injuries and not making the playoffs, unfortunately, and then going out and all the trade drama going on. But now that they finally got their pieces, they finally got Anthony Davis, or Boogie Cousins, and the assortment of role players like Jared Dudley and Avery Bradley to help them out. So now it's just going to be an all-out battle in Los Angeles. It's going to be just this. The whole league is now perfect. Like it's not perfect. It's perfectly balanced. I would say, yeah. With just the assortment of stars everywhere. There's team. It's like the '90s again. There's stars everywhere, and they're not everyone's on one team, and the competition is about to be through the roof for the first time in a long time. And that just makes me so excited for this year's season to start here, which will be coming up sooner than I thought. But on that note, we are going to move on and talk about Zion Williams. We were talking about him earlier today um, on the Hawks, and he just signed this new crazy deal with Jordan, Nike. My bad. Just he's going to be he's the richest rookie contract of all time. I saw this. He's gonna be making $95 million before he even plays his first NBA game. 95 million. What? That's that's insane. But he is the biggest, most hype player since LeBron James, and it just seems more fitting that he broke LeBron's record at the shoe deal for a rookie. And it just makes you question: is he going to be worth the hype? Is Zion Williams going to pay out in the end, or is he just going to be a bust? So I honestly think that he is going to be just fine. He's going to be a great player in this league to come. He will win Rookie of the Year at the end of the year, and he will help and he will lead the Pelicans to the playoffs. Because we all know his shooting is on the table. It's questionable, but when you give a star, a player, that much God-given athleticism and God-given like talent, it's you start off at an advantage. We saw him just poster people. We saw him do all these crazy post moves, crazy finishes, power and strength in college. Granted, that's not on the college level, or that's on the pro level, excuse me. But if you already got that much strength and God-given talent, that's going to put you at an advantage. And he's already going to be the second heaviest player in the NBA behind Boban, which he's got the height to make up for that Zion does not have. But given his weight, he's still incredibly fast. So now you just gotta look at players that have like in the past that have that athleticism, like Andrew Wiggins and Derrick Rose and Giannis, even LeBron James, players that were just freak athletes and that drive to the lane and like they work on their shooting. We see Giannis. I saw a clip earlier this year of Giannis's 3-point shooting since the All Star game, and it was literally a 7-minute video of all the threes. And he just looks with his long arms. It just looks so uncomfortable shooting. But and then I see the video of Ben Simmons putting work in the gym and working on the shot, and it's actually looking kind of wet. So we'll see how that transcends into the NBA this season. But then you look at players like that, and then you look at Zion with his shooting struggles. And if this man could just, like I said, work on the shooting aspects, work on the fundamentals, the other aspects outside of the physical parts of his game, this man is going to be an MVP in his future. Once you see LeBron James retire and um, Zion's rise to the league come, this man's going to be an MVP. Um, I fully, and then once what you do with players like this man, where they're just so attack the basket. We see in Milwaukee, you surround him with shooters to open up the lane. That's when they went out and got JJ Redick, a phenomenal shooter. Josh Hart in that trade. Brandon Ingram can shoot when he's feeling it. So you just go out and get these pieces and surround them, and then it's going to be hard for them to get this in the West, nonetheless. But Zion will lead them to the playoffs. Um, yeah, so we're gonna move on from Zion Williams for a minute and talk about my man Steve Kerr. Earlier this week, he's had some words to say about the Anthony Davis trade, quoting, "When you sign on that dotted line, you owe your effort and your play to that team, that city, to the fans. The Davis stuff was really kind of groundbreaking, hopefully not a trend because it's bad for the league." End quote. I just want to say that that's probably one of the most hypocritical statements from an NBA coach that I've heard in a while. I know that this was a trade and not a signing, but does he forget that he had Kevin Durant sign on his team, a 73-19? Like, was that not bad for the league? Was this super assortment of one of the greatest teams ever assembled once they got Boogie Cousins? Was that not bad for the league? Like, it's it just had me cracking up. Um, but like I said, this was a trade, and I think he's trying to get at the loyalty that the NBA seems to not have as much nowadays. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and we saw it's not bad for the league because the assortment of stars and players all throughout spread out now. Now, if um, Kevin Durant would have stayed on the Warriors, if Boogie would have stayed, if the Warriors would have stayed together, um, I, I probably agree to that. I agree to his statement because that the assortment of talent's not stayed. The Warriors keep their superstar team together. Granted, like with injury, but yeah, I'm sorry, Steve Curry. I don't agree with you this time, but all right, that is all the time we have today for this episode of Buckets with Beagle. Much appreciate the support. Go out and follow my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We're in the process of getting SoundCloud and other podcasting apps up, so I'll keep you notified on what goes on with that. Thank you for tuning in this episode of Buckets with Beagle. Go like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next time.